our neighboring country, Austria, has also a Verfassungsschutz. That is a secret service and intelligence agency whose job is not to avert terror attacks or to detect foreign spies, but rather to look into what people think. And Martin Sellner, the leader of the Generation Identity in Austria, has found a van in front of his home that looks suspicious. As you can see, it has it is fairly new. It does not show any dents, not much dirt, and so on. There are no personal items. You would expect some personal items in the car when it were for a private person to just use the spot as a parking lot, and it has tainted glasses, and that's a sure sign that this is an official car of the Secret Service. Although, of course, because they are secret, they may not openly say so. Selner claims that he may take into account the option that maybe they are there to protect him because after the weeks of media attacks against him, he may be under attack from Islamists and Antifa terrorists, and that the Secret Service may somehow be involved in deterring these people. But that is very unlikely if the state were concerned about his security. They would have parked a police car there or something that is very obviously a deterrent to criminals. Of course, everything is relative. We are far from China, where they are sending around death vans or execution cars. This is just a car to spy on people, and you probably will have the same car if you move here and speak critically about Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, or Angela Merkel. I don't know. I don't see this as a sign of a healthy democracy or as a sign of a Western nation. And for me, it is always very difficult to decide how I classify what we are going to see at the moment or in the near future, because we are losing our Western system, our republic, and we may end up in some sort of dictatorship. But of course, there are different levels of dictatorship, and this is really what the left builds on. Because I personally have been called a Nazi by a friend that I had for many years, and who knew that I would have ended up in a concentration camp under the Nazis. He told me that basically everything is fine, including the East German dictatorship under the communist regime, as long as it is not the Nazi regime. So basically everything that comes after the Nazis is okay again, because whatever they do will be called differently. And I think basically all that's changing here in Germany, and I suppose also in Austria, is that things are labeled a bit differently. Recently I figured that we have now contingents of goods that may be produced by certain farmers, and I find this very worrying because this is a type of socialism that was the standard under the Nazi regime, and as it turns out, I will have to look into more public sources to speak about it in more detail. But as I have heard, this is hearsay, as I have heard, it is a EU directive that was put into practice. So we have now farmers that are basically producing contingents of goods, of fruits, simply because there is a directive, and it is a type of socialism that was already there under the Nazi rule. while the Bolshevik socialists take over the ownership of companies, the Nazis just told those formal on paper owners what to produce and in what quantities. I will have to look into more detail about this, but I see a return of things step by step that we have thought to have defeated in two occasions, the fall of the wall and the end of the World War. And it is all happening while people who are doing it are pointing their fingers on everybody else and are doing it in the name of democracy and in the name of freedom and liberalism. And this is quite worrisome because I wouldn't have dreamed how easily people are fooled by the exchange of words. Change the word and people believe the subject has changed, and it hasn't. So I'm a bit concerned about this, and I'm a bit concerned about the spying and the further encouragement of our basic human rights. And that was it for today. See you.